Alright, today we're going to 3D print and cast an aluminum chuck. Let's get started. First thing we got to do to make this chuck a reality is we have to design the part first in 3D space so that our 3D printer knows how to print it, and then from there we can get the physical part in the physical world. Let's jump over to some design software or 3D CAD program and design this part out. Alright, so the part is now finished. So we have our lid, we've got our bevel gear inside there, and then that spiral type thing is the scroll gear, which moves the jaws in and out. I hope everything works. It all looks like it's gonna work. Now that we basically have the instructions for the 3D printer to print this part, we'll now give it to the 3D printer and the printer will print it away. All right, I think all the pieces are complete. Now, we have to clean them up. Okay, so as I started cleaning all the pieces, I decided to start to kind of put them together as I go. And then I ran into a couple problems. The first being that these two gears don't match up very well. Not only is this print job not very good on this gear here, but they don't match up. So that's a problem. And the second thing that I noticed, the teeth on the bevel gear is very small. In fact, so small that I don't think it's really castable. I think that I could do it, but imagine trying to cast all that and make sure all those are good. Yeah, just that alone, I need to redesign this part. But all the problems don't stop there. They even get worse. I learned that my chuck jaws, the teeth aren't cut right. And basically, when I put this piece together and I started to spin it with the jaw on there, it basically ripped my spiral off. So the scroll thread doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. It ripped it right off. Not to mention this wall isn't quite thick enough. Issues, issues, issues. So what I'm gonna do is fix the spiral gear, fix the bevel gear, make the walls thicker on this piece. So I'm gonna redesign it, re-3D print it, clean it, and put it together. Well, that was fast. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and put this whole thing together. I'm just gonna fast forward the cleaning up. These things break. Luckily I have a replacement. Whoops. As you see, I did run out of red filament, so I went with a new filament. Now I'm just gonna put this thing together. It's really simple. First thing that goes in is the spiral slash bevel gear first. Spiral facing down, goes into our main casing like that. Then second is all of these pieces, which we'll just throw in here. One there, one there, one there, and then our main piece here, which will just slip on like that. And I'm just gonna get a quick Allen wrench so we can use for this next part. So I'm gonna rotate this piece, which actually rotates that spiral in there, to this slot here. So this one goes in like that. Okay, it does. Okay, stop it there. This one here goes in next. And then this one here. And then the last jaw goes in like this, and then a full rotation will bring all of those to center. And that is the full chuck, just like that. How gorgeous is that? I love how it spins too. It's just so cool to me. Just like that. Oh, is that not gorgeous or what? Next, we're gonna put these inside of molds and cast them out of aluminum. That is going to be really fun. We're gonna take aluminum cans and make them into this chuck. It's going to be a blast. So, we have the chuck 3D printed, we have our pieces, but now we have to build the mold for the casting of the piece. And these are just test pieces. These aren't the original chuck pieces yet. I will cast those, but I want to test them first and test the ideas out to ensure that they work before I go through and cast the whole part. For this entire week, I have been doing nothing but testing different molds. So our first cast was kind of an interesting one. I took a rougher mixture and I put it around a part that had the sculpting clay around it, and I casted that piece. We broke it, but it turned out like this, which is not even near the result that we need for this chuck. Time to build some different molds. This next part, I thought I would just try the clay with one of these pieces made out of this and see how well that works. I found on some of my molds, I made them in flexible containers, and it caused the molds to crack because they were flexible. And here, like, settle it in. Settle this piece in. Looks like a cracking mess to me already. It looks way too high on clay. But I'm not positive on that. Night later, batch that we did yesterday. Okay, let's see. Oh yeah, the much higher clay content one has cracked. The clay shrinks, which causes, well, cracking. So that didn't work, but that's okay. Well, maybe we'll do something different about that one. It did harden nicely. I do like that though. I'll try something different. As I was working with this clay material, it dawned on me that there's actually another type of material that I could work with. Actually several different materials. I could use green sand and I could use plaster of Paris, but I already started kind of this other method and I really wanted to see and really play out this other method before I tried those. Rolling back, so I originally used to build my foundry, I actually used a mixture of sand, cement, and ash, and that worked really well. In fact, the foundry has no cracks in it whatsoever. And so I'm thinking I could use that material to build my molds out of and melt the plastic out that way. So I figured I'd try that. So I'm gonna build 2 of them, and I'm basically gonna make a mixture of 4 sand, 1 cement, and 1 ash. So I'm gonna go ahead and make the batch. Here's our 2 molds that we're going to put our things into, like that. I'm gonna put them in the mud like this, face down with this tip pointing downward so that I have this back that I can pour it into. I'm thinking that will produce the best pour result. I'm just gonna pack this in a little bit before I bury it. I feel extremely confident in this. I really think that this is going to work. All right, so we'll go ahead and let these molds sit here and set up and dry. All right, the parts are dry, so now it's time to put them in the furnace. Basically just took it right off. Got the 2 molds, quicker. I'm gonna put one in here. I'm just putting this torch in just to start it. But those are perfect. Ready? Give it a little tap. That was a gorgeous mold pour.
Dang it, I missed it too.
All right, ready?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go for this one first. Oh. Okay, that's an issue with the burnout. So we just needed to burn it out longer. Look at this one.
Yeah. Ooh, don't break it.
Wow, that's good enough for the mold, huh? The layer heights, everything's there. I think some of the places the plastic wasn't burnt out enough. We are seeing little pieces of plastic here, so that's why we're missing the teeth on this piece. If we would have burnt it out long enough and got that extra little bit of plastic out of there. We'll make a note for that next time. Wow, I'm actually very impressed by the quality of these parts, especially this piece here. This is good enough to put on the chuck. We could just sand it down and just plop it on there and it will work. How in the world am I going to even get all this to fit together when I sand it and stuff? No clue. We're gonna find out. We found our material. We found how we're gonna do it. We're gonna start the casting of the chuck. So let's go ahead and make them. So the goal behind this is to take each individual piece, just like this pinion here, build and put our special mixture, our sand, cement, and ash mixture around each piece, and then we are going to basically from there burn it out and then cast it. Whew. Lots of work, but it's going to be fun. One piece at a time. This mold here is the one that I just created off camera because I didn't know my camera died. We're gonna go ahead and let these set up, dry, and then we're gonna come back, take these containers off, let them set again, and then we'll burn out all the plastics and pour them. All the molds are complete. They are all dried and ready to go. This one here has some cracks in it. so I'm slightly worried about it. It's also one of the bigger pieces, which is also a scarier fact. Anyway, we'll see what happens. We're gonna go ahead and toss them all in the furnace and get them cooking. Hey, look, they're coming to see what we're doing.
I think they're like right here. A little bit of plastic on the edge.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it back in. All the other pieces, these are all good. So let's get some aluminum melting to pour all the smaller pieces. What's in there? The first can. Oh yeah. These two did not pour. They literally, yeah, the aluminum just sat right on top of it. So I think what the problem was is we didn't have air vents. So we're gonna put a hole down there so that we can have an air vent. The other one of these is actually over here. So this mold I'm gonna take apart delicately. These other should be the 4 jaws. Okay. Oh my gosh, look at that piece.
That's beautiful.
There's one air right there, but ain't a big deal.
No.
All right, next piece. Nice. That's amazing. Okay, this piece. Oh, it's like opening presents. Should we find out?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look at that. These pieces are gorgeous. Okay, I'm gonna break this one. I don't know if it poured or not, but let's see. Oh, it poured. Ooh.
Look at the air vent issue right here.
Again, look at that air vent problem. Okay, well, I may make another one of these molds and re-pour, depending on what happens with these. I've got the 2 other pieces, which haven't been burnt out yet, in the oven. Hopefully that will work. I'll get those started burning out. It started! The burning hot furnace. All right, the 2 bigger pieces worked. Look how gorgeous they are. They're completely empty. No more plastic in them. I've got the scroll gear there, and I've got all the pinions. That piece there, all the plastic didn't quite burn out of it. I think it was covered in ash though, and that's what caused it to be insulated, and it didn't burn out very well. So I'm just gonna, those 2 there, I'm gonna torch real quick with the with a propane torch, and I'm thinking that should melt it out. Meanwhile, I'm gonna start heating up the furnace again to get that metal melted so that we can get going with this. Big one or not?
Are you gonna re-pour this one?
I was just walking around and I found an axe head. My dad said that it's actually lucky to find an axe head. Well, I found an axe head, which means these molds, they gotta be good because I got luck on my side, right? We're gonna break open these molds, see if they're good. The first thing is I didn't even try to attempt to cast the pinions because I was gonna burn out the rest of the plastic with the torch. But I'm gonna flip the pinions around and try casting them the other way. So let's see how the big pieces turned out.
Ooh. Okay. I'm gonna have to do some work on cleaning out the inside of this. I'm not really sure what to think, actually. Okay, this piece doesn't look very good. Okay. All right, here we go. Let's open up this next piece. Yes, I know my opening tool is absolutely brilliant. I get you. Totally know. Ooh. Ooh. Wow. All right. I can definitely work with that piece. That's one more piece to add to the finished pile. Let's open this one here. This is the, ooh. Oh, wow. That really worked. That worked really well. What does the other side look like? Ooh. Oh, wow. That will work. I mean, it has some flaws in it. That's another piece I can add to the finished pile. This piece here, this part didn't cast very well. And that part needed to cast because that's part of the slides for our jaws. So the fact that it didn't pour right means it's not going to quite work. I will have to redo this piece. So here are the casting results. This piece is good. It's got some holes in it. It's not a perfect cast, but it will definitely work. This piece is good. This is definitely going to work. There's a few gears that didn't quite get all the way there, but that's enough for it to grip onto at least. So this piece will definitely work. We got all of the jaws that will work. So we got all those pieces done. Now, here's the ones we attempted to do, but did not work. This is the outer casing. Didn't work. And of course, all of the pinions failed us too. I was trying to cast the pinion going like this, but I think I'm gonna cast the pinion like this next time. We'll see about those. Meanwhile, we're close. We're getting there.
It's taken me a long time. All of these casts are 50-50 chance they may or may not work. And I'm learning where to put holes and stuff. It's a very big learning curve for me. We've got over half of them done, so we're almost done. I have 3D printed the pieces. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut little pieces of styrofoam and glue those onto there to make the chutes. Hopefully some to act as air vents, some to act as the actual pouring vents. I'm hoping this will work a lot better.
Also, these pinions I'm gonna cast this way, facing up like this and out.
So hopefully that will work. And pouring the larger casing the same way as I did last time. The thing different with that piece is I'm gonna heat up the aluminum even hotter. So I guess I'm on to building the molds around these pieces so I can cast them. Let's get started. So now it's just a waiting game for these to dry. The things are dry now. I'm gonna go ahead and load them up in the furnace. Let's get them burning out. So I took the top off the furnace and it's doing way better now, way hotter, and I think it's because I can put more wood on top of it. I think I will still put the top on it for melting metal. When I took the parts out of the furnace, it just crumbled on me. I mean, they turned to powder. I mean, it was amazing. I'm just sitting there going, oh crap, now what? In order to rebuild the molds, I'd have to do that same mixture again. And I know that it doesn't work for these bigger molds very well. I mean, it is possible. I've done a few of them that way, but it's just not working too well for these bigger molds. The smaller ones it works great with. So I got a bag of plaster of Paris. I know I wasn't gonna spend any money on this project. I was trying to do all from home materials. For the sake of just time and work, I think it's well worth it. So I should have done this from the beginning, but I wanted to see if I could do it another way. It's probably gonna get better detail in the whole part. So I'm gonna reprint the parts, reburn them out, redo the whole process over again. One step at a time, right? Alrighty, so now that's it. I have seen people add sand to this. However, I looked it up and they said just plaster of Paris pretty much is the plain mixture for being heat resistant. I don't think it'll crack. I think it'll be okay. But just in case it does crack, no, it won't crack. Nah, it can't crack. It'll be good, although it's pretty powdery. My experience with powdery things is they crack. But we'll see. So I thought the burnout was done, so I stopped the fire, and well, let me show you the result. Not looking good. And as I suspected, the bigger mold just shattered. I figured it kind of would.
I think I put it in too wet though. I don't think this was completely dry when I put it in here, and so it just shriveled up, and that's where all the cracks came from.
I have these, which have been drying for a little bit longer than the bigger mold, so I'm assuming these gotta be dry. I'm just gonna basically put them over the top of the furnace, kind of slowly heat them, and then drop them in. Kind of hopefully get them preheated before they get boom right to heat. They're cracking. I can hear them cracking when they're in there. So either I'm heating them up too fast, which could be possible, or I shouldn't just use pure plaster of Paris. I'm starting to think that I should mix it with some sand and try that. Well, I've been experimenting with the plaster of Paris. 1 sand and 2 plaster of Paris, and that worked really well. So that's what I ended up doing. So I just gotta redo the bigger mold. I've got one of the molds burnt out right now. That worked out absolutely beautiful. Not a single crack, and the part is no longer in there.
Just an incredible result. There are some air bubbles, but that is perfectly fine. I can grind those away. I am very pleased. I did not put the fan on when I burnt them out. I usually put the fan on to get the furnace extra hot, but I didn't do that this time. That worked out really well. Also, I got some comments saying you should preheat the mold, so I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna preheat it in an oven, and hopefully that'll be enough. Now that the molds are, or the 3 smaller ones are done, I'm gonna put all 3 in a small toaster oven, then cook the toaster oven up to the highest temperature I can possibly get it. Bake those while I'm melting the metal. Pull those out, pour them. All right, the pours are done on all of the pinions. Let's break them open. All right, here we go. This one first. Oh yeah. Wow. Gosh, that's beautiful. What these look like. Oh, this one's shrunk. Look at that. What happened there? I wonder if they're shrinking. Oh man, again, it happened again. This did not work. Okay, so I think what I need is a little bit more aluminum over the top of them. So I have poured probably over 30 of these parts. They've all come out like this. Now that's great and all, but it's the wrong part. You see, I need them to look like this. This isn't a perfect replica, it's still got issues, but it is still done pretty darn well. This is about the best pour I've gotten so far, and it's still not even good enough for me to use in my aluminum chuck. So I need to find out another method. One is I either need to add air vents to this, which I think I'm going to add, and I need to do something to get the air out. I gotta make sure this part is stuck in there as best as possible. So I think for its best fighting chance, I'm gonna put it inside of a pressure chamber. I have the stuff for one. I looked around and I've got a chamber that I think will work. It's got like a half and half chamber. It used to be a pool filter. So I'm just thinking, it wouldn't take me a matter of seconds to rig it up. It's made of fiberglass, so if something is to go terribly wrong, it's not like it's a plastic bin that's gonna explode on me. It's fiberglass. It's fairly strong and it's really thick. It probably would work for a vacuum chamber. Anyway, I'm not gonna put a vacuum in it though. I'm gonna use it as a pressure chamber. It's more built to be a pressure chamber than a vacuum chamber. I'm gonna do it. It'll take me a matter of seconds to rig it up. now all I gotta do, I'm gonna put a tray in there so that my mold can sit on top of that. Pour the aluminum into that, shut the lid, tighten it down, pressurize it with air, boom, it's in there, boom, bada bang. Scarier than crap, but that's how I'm gonna do it. Pressure chamber built.
Meanwhile, while I'm printing more pinions, I figured I will burn out the last of the molds. This big guy here. So I'll get to burning out that one.
The mold is in there, ready to be poured for the aluminum. All I gotta do now is melt the aluminum, pour it into there, put the pressure chamber on, put 20 PSI of pressure in there. I don't wanna go any more than that.
This is absurd. I can't even believe I'm doing this. Well, wish me luck.
Metal is melting. Oh, it's so cool. So toasty. I'm psyched. Project pressure chamber on the way. Just because I don't want anything overheating, so. Wow, look at this. See all this aluminum? It's been pressed in there. It's pushed in. I think that might have worked. That's exciting. Wow, that was a lot of fun. I wonder if it worked. All the holes have aluminum in the top of them, but I've learned from my experiences that if you feel confident in one of these molds, it's probably not that good. It's the ones you don't think are gonna work that work. Anyway, we'll see. So, let's get this thing open and upside down. Oh my. Oh. Whoa, man. Way better than the last one, yeah?
Yep, so you just didn't have enough aluminum. You didn't have a high enough risers on it.
Yeah.
You needed higher risers and it would have worked. Look at this on the side.
Look at that.
That layers of the plastic. Bottom is perfect where it had enough. A little bit here, but that was because of a rock that fell through.
Well, it looks a lot better than the last one. So obviously we're getting somewhere, yeah? Looks like I just need to have riser on it that has a lot more aluminum in it pouring into it. It looks like, yeah? So maybe what I'll do is I'll mark these holes and I'll put air outlets right there because I'm having that on every single one of my parts. These are a lot smaller than the last ones, though. The last ones are like that.
Yeah.
So.
And really, look at this quality. Everywhere where it feels right, you were fine. It was when you ran out of material. Look at this, it sucked it down and ran out of material there.
I think the aluminum slightly shrinks too, so it draws more aluminum as it cools.
Yeah, dude, I'd put a higher riser on it, and I think it's gonna work perfect.
The pour was not so successful, but we're getting there. Every time we pour something aluminum, we get a step closer in that direction. Currently, right now, I got the pinions here with the air vents in them, like that. So now all I really gotta do is just burn them out. I'm gonna go do that right now. Start on fire. I have just burnt out the aluminum pinions, so now I just gotta put some sort of casing on top of here to extend this up so that more aluminum can sit on top of the part as it cools to make sure that there's enough aluminum in here. They smell like hard-boiled eggs. Those smell like hard-boiled eggs. That is so weird. Just gotta get the little vent things on top of them, so we'll do that.
All right, so the 3 of them are down in there. 1, 2, 3. I made the air vents up here so I can pour the aluminum down the center here. It will go into all 3 of those down there, hopefully filling up all 3 of those. Plus any excess aluminum will go on top of all 3, pressing down into the molds. Then I'll put it inside the pressure chamber. Pretty much it should be complete after that. Right now I'm baking it to make sure I get it warm, and it is fairly warm. It's gonna definitely crack. You can already see cracks starting, but that's fine. It's just gotta hold itself together, and I think it will. I'm gonna go ahead and bake it. I'm getting the furnace started up, firing up over there. We'll get ready to cast it.
Wow, it's always so intense. All right, so we'll just let that cool then. It's cooled, let's break it open. Oh, I sure hope this worked. Only one way to find out. Ooh, yeah, baby. Well, that sure looked like that worked. Wow, and the quality, oh my. That's the best quality piece I've ever seen. Look at these guys. They're gorgeous. They're also covered by a bunch of aluminum. Okay, I'm gonna go get a saw and I'm going to saw right down here, which should be able to loosen up each one of these pieces so we can get a closer look at each one of these. So I'm gonna go do that. These are the pinions. Absolutely gorgeous. I mean, they have their issues here and there, but all of the gear teeth are there, and that's what I was most concerned about. This one, that the back of it didn't turn out so well. The inner section of the mold actually broke off and fell in, so you actually can see it in there. So I may recast one of these pieces, but I really like the quality of these two pieces. They're really all phenomenal. So now these pinions can be added to my pile of pieces, definitely closer. You can even see how these pieces work very well on this gear here. Look at that, just, oh my gosh, they fit together so well. Oh, it's gonna be so cool. So having this extra chunk of metal that was on top there, I think worked a lot better. I got the pinions down, but we're still missing the casing, the thing that holds all this together. So we'll have to get that printed and recast. And we also got to install air vents, which I've done there, so the air can escape when the aluminum goes in. These air vents here are a little different than what I did last time. I'm putting in more air vents along the top here, so that the spots where it had air bubbles hopefully won't have air bubbles. And this is basically the mix here, sand and plaster, because that worked really well. And here's this. So this piece has got to go in here. Plaster, pretty cool. The piece is completely dry, so now we got to burn it out. Alright, so this pour, nothing went wrong with it, at least from the outside. We'll see what it looks like in the inside. We'll see, let's open it up. Ooh. Ooh. Well, look at that. I think that's gonna work. Beautiful. That's the best part I think I've poured so far. There are little indents like that right there, but that's fine, no big deal. Wow. I don't know, these must all be air bubbles that got trapped underneath the mold, but that doesn't matter, I can grind those off. The difference that I did with this part is that instead of pouring the mold like this, I poured it like this. All right, is that the last pour of the chuck? Who knows, it depends on how I put this thing together. If I mess up putting this thing together, I'll have to pour it again. So hopefully I won't mess up. I have all the pieces, the last piece finally casted. Oh my gosh, took forever to cast this last piece. Anyway, that goes on with this stack of pieces. So now all that's really left, cleaning up the parts and putting them all together. Yeah. I got all of the pieces cleaned up. So now the next task is to take it and drill into the main casing. Not only do I have to drill the holes, but I gotta thread them. It's all come down to this. Drilling holes and not messing up. Let's go. We're coming right down to the wire. We got all these parts all done. Drilled a hole for each one of the pinions, just like that, so that the pin can hold the pinion in. All these are tapped so that this piece can be held on, just like that. Basically the same assembly that's with the plastic piece, other than it's aluminum and there's a few other holes. But there's only one other thing I have to do, and that is fit it to the lathe. Dun dun dun. Bam, bam. So that's gonna hold it on there when it goes on the back. It's ready to go as is, but there's only one thing that I think I need to do to it. That is give it a polish. Polish it up, just like, the power of editing. Boom dogga bang, all polished up. Now let's go put it on the lathe. Looking good. Everything's looking beautiful. Let's go and give it a rotation. There we go, look at that. There's a little bit of it kind of jams every now and then. So otherwise than that, there is a serious wobble to it. I can see it from here, but that's mostly because this back here, I didn't drill it out, I casted it. Plus it didn't really turn out too well, the back of it didn't. So it is something that I want to recast, and that will definitely straighten it out. But otherwise than that, it all works. Do I dare say I finished this project? Oh my gosh, it is months and months and months in the making, and I finally completed it. I am extremely happy to bring this video to you because it means completion, and completion is awesome. If you can complete something in your life, go complete it, because you will never feel the same afterwards. You'll just want to complete. Oh, so awesome. Spent so much time on this project and it's finally finished. I would spin it up, but our current lathe right here needs a motor rebuild, so it's not currently spinning. I mean, we can imagine it. Thank you so much for suggesting preheating the molds.
Did you even know those work without electricity?
I didn't.
Oh, hey, look. Pig. Hey, Piggy. Anyone wanted to know what a pig noise sounded like? That's what they sound like. What are you guys doing? There's nothing up there for you guys to even eat.
That was a terrible idea. Gosh.